And in so many ways around this country at this point, the insurgents have been ejected from the population through counterinsurgency operations, through the improvement of governance and economic opportunity, through the development of the Afghan local police, through the reintegration of many of the insurgent fighters that have come off the battlefield ultimately to rejoin their society. So I can understand that there could be a concern over these high-profile attacks. And in an insurgency that is, in fact, experiencing the difficulties that this one is experiencing, it is losing ground around the country. It has to resort to high-profile attacks in order to attract attention to its cause and ultimately to sow perhaps discontent or to strike a blow against the morale of the civilian population. And so that's what's happening. All across this country, Afghans are celebrating the great principles of Islam today and the next couple of days with their families to celebrate Eid. What Mullah Omar has to say in his message is about the past. It's about reasserting the Taliban ideology in this country, which was a moment of darkness in the long history of Afghanistan. So there isn't much that Mullah Omar has to say in his Eid message that deserves much attention, frankly. We are going to maintain the campaign for as long as we possibly can, until we might get a mission change or until our numbers mature to permit us to do other things. We're not running for the exit. We're going to be here for a while. We're going to work very, very hard to ensure that the Afghan National Security Forces are ready both at an institutional level, but also operationally ready as well. And we're going to provide terrific support to the process of transition. Transition is about success in Afghanistan, and as the transition process continues, it will be clearer to the Afghan people that the whole idea of increasing security in larger portions of the country within the successive tranches that are moving forward, that the improvement of governance and economic development is really about success, and it is not about running for the exits. In any case, the United States on a bilateral level, NATO at a bilateral level, is in conversation with the Afghan government about the intent for a long-term strategic relationship as well. So the Afghans who worry about whether we're leaving ought to see what's happening in front of them today. They should take heart in that. They should be encouraged by that. But they should also listen to the discussions that are occurring at the senior governmental levels about a long-term bilateral relationship with the United States and a long-term bilateral strategic relationship with NATO. And I think they should take comfort in that, and there should be great hope in that. There might have been a danger in other places, but in Afghanistan there is a very comprehensive program to create within the Afghan National Security Forces supply discipline, maintenance capabilities, the ability for them to understand the responsibilities for operations and maintenance over the long period of time. It's not just about the weapons, it's not just about the radios, it's about the physical facilities as well. And we're building facilities today which fit the requirements for the Afghan National Security Forces. They're facilities that can be maintained by Afghans for long periods of time, will not cost a lot of money to do that. And so part of the comprehensive plan for the development of the Afghan National Security Forces is, in fact, to create an army and police over the long term, which could be sustained within the GDP and the donor the segment of donor requirements that have been offered by the international community, so that it is an affordable force in the end. Well, the older formations are doing better than the newer formations. But the newer formations are different in that many of the soldiers today and the police are coming out of literacy training. And this literacy training is very, very important to the long-term health and capabilities of the ANSF. In a country where the literacy rate is relatively low, all Afghan National Security Forces now are graduating from their basic training and can read and write and count at a first grade level. Now, that may not sound like much to us, but in terms of reading a maintenance manual or being able to inventory equipment, this is essential. So just at that level alone, the Afghan National Security Forces, and we've recently passed the milestone of the 100,000th soldier having been in receipt of literacy training, that alone fits the Army for the long term. The other aspects, though, with respect to the equipment, with respect to their discipline, with respect to their fighting abilities, all of those are growing, and we're maturing those as the units are fielded, as they partner with our units in the field, and ultimately as they go into combat. U.S. and coalition forces ultimately and swiftly responded to that attack, ultimately threw off the Taliban darkness, if you will, that had descended on this country and permitted it to become a safe haven for the Taliban and Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations. And since that time, the great efforts, truly great efforts and sacrifice of the international community to make a difference here, to give this government stability and security so that the people of Afghanistan will never again be under the heel of the Taliban boot, but also to give them a future, a legitimate future, and to remove the possibility that Afghanistan will ever again be a terrorist safe haven, especially a place where Al-Qaeda can find that it could plot attacks upon the West or upon the poor Afghan civilians. I use the terms prevail. We will prevail in this campaign because the forces are well in train and in the right combination to do that. It's not going to be about a tipping point. You might see a tipping point in your rearview mirror as you look at the history. Some combination of factors might have created an opportunity which, when seized, achieved dramatic effect. But at this particular point, what I would say is that the combination of the many different factors and forces associated with this comprehensive civil military counterinsurgency is achieving ultimately the opportunity for us to prevail.